we detected an unusual trade worth $1.7 million on Alaska Air stock, ticker symbol ALK. And so in this video, we will analyze this unusual option activity from the most recent trading day, May 23rd, to see if this wealthy investor is bullish and buying or bearish and selling. Because as we all know, the rich have more access to exclusive research and information, sometimes even leaked insider information, giving them an edge to make better, smarter financial decisions. This is how smart money always stays one step ahead, well before the rest of the market catches on. No wonder the rich get richer. And so, to level the playing field, let's dive into our analysis to gain insights from the rich so that our subscribers and members can profit from this deep knowledge too. As we can see here on the options time and sales tape, the most unusual trade happened on May 23 at 10:36 at the 29-second mark for these June 20 options and the October 17 options, both at the 57.5 strike calls, and 5,265 contracts were being traded. Now, we need to be very careful with the June 20 options because when we dive deeper into the historical data, on May 22nd, one day before these trades were made on May 23rd, we can see here for the June 20 options at the 57.5 strike calls, we have an open interest of 7,342 open contracts. And when we take a look at the updated data for these same options, we can see here for the June 20 options at the 57.5 strike calls, we now have less contracts than previously, only 1,924 open contracts left. So this wealthy investor closed these options, but opened new contracts for another expiration date. And so if we examine the historical data on the other options trade for October 17, we can see that there was only 580 open contracts. On May 22nd, the day before this unusual option activity showed up on May 23rd. And so let's check the current data again on the option chain for these same October 17 options at the 57.5 strike calls. And we can see that the open interest has now jumped to 7,207 open contracts. Clearly, the number of open contracts increased significantly. So this tells us that this wealthy investor opened new contracts for the October 17 options on May 23rd, because it would not be possible to close out thousands of contracts if only 580 open contracts existed the day before. And so if we go back to the options time and sales tape, this wealthy investor was closing out of these June 20 options and rolling them to a later expiration date. This means that these October 17 options at the 57.5 strike calls are the new open trades. And so we can calculate the cost of this new trade by multiplying the total number of contracts by the price per contract, which is 3.40. Keep in mind that options are priced per share, and each options contract represents 100 shares of stock. So we multiply by 100 or simply move the decimal 2 places to the right. That means each contract costs $340. And so when we multiply this by the total contracts of 5,265, we get a total trade value of approximately $1.7 million for this unusual option activity. But keep in mind, just because a trade is large does not necessarily mean it has a high probability of success. In fact, this one carries more risk than the smaller, more selective trades we share on our website. And so if you want to get access to smarter, lower risk trades with a higher chance of profit, head over to our website. We'll put a link to our website up here where you can get deep insights into exactly when and which stocks wealthy investors are trading on Wall Street, so that you can have the same opportunities as the rich. Because if the rich get richer, why shouldn't you? Now, with that said, even though this is higher risk, we still traded this, but we used position sizing to manage our risk. As you can see here on the options chain, for the October 17 options at the 57.5 strike calls, since this was a new opening trade, we also traded these call options and got into the same position here. POS stands for our position, and the green color means a buy position because, based on our deep research across multiple variables and data sets, this wealthy investor bought these 57.5 strike calls for $3.40 each, the same price as we calculated and saw earlier on the options time and sales tape. And so when we analyze this trade, we can see here on the risk profile graph where the profit or loss shows up here, and the x-axis represents the share price of the stock, which is currently trading over here, and the y-axis represents the amount of profit or loss. Note the zero break-even line here. And so when the purple line, which represents the current date, and the blue line, which represents the option's expiration date, are trading below this zero break-even line, as the share price goes down, this trade becomes more negative loss. And as the share price goes up, this trade becomes more positive, more profitable, because this wealthy investor is going long bullish on Alaska Air stock. We can also confirm that by checking the options Greeks. This trade has a positive delta, which means it's positioned long and bullish. If it was a short bearish trade, we would see a negative delta instead. But keep in mind the risk with this trade. It has a negative theta, which means it loses value over time due to time decay. And that is why you can see here the purple line drops down lower to the blue line as we approach the option's expiration date. Since these options lose value through time, the break even on this trade moves higher as time goes on. And so you can see here, even though the call options we bought have a strike price of $57.50, the stock needs to trade above $60.90 per share for this trade to be profitable at expiration. Because of this added risk, along with other factors, we only took a small position in this trade. We don't invest a lot of capital into these higher risk trades. Instead, we focus most of our capital on lower risk, higher probability of profit trades, the kind of trades we share on our website. We'll put a link to our website here where you can also learn more strategies to increase your profits. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Alaska Air stock will go up or down? As always, please like, subscribe, and until next time, let's keep tracking the trades of the rich so everyday investors can profit too. Take care and have a wonderful day.